Have a story to tell? I believe you. Ghost, cryptids, the unknown. Let's talk about it. This is My GhostCast. Hey guys, welcome back to My GhostCast. Our guest, Joe Pena. Joe, he's got this last part of this particular story in house. The neat thing is yeah, you'll see it on the video later. Joe, it's all yours.
Thank you again. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. So this last house that I was going to tell you about, and so again, as I said, I've always been a bit of a skeptic, but I was always enjoying hearing a lot of the stories. Well, while I was there working with the Park and Rec Department, I was contacted by a group called the Corpus Christi Spook Central, or CC Spook Central, and they're a paranormal investigation group here in Corpus. Their leader, Margaret Prescott, and her son Monty are just wonderful people, just absolutely wonderful people, and immediately got along with them. And they themselves have even proclaimed that they're skeptics until proven right. And they've been proven right many times. But so they contacted me, and of course I had to go up the ladder to make sure that would be okay. And they said, sure, that's fine, because they wanted to do it late at night between midnight and 4 a.m. And they said, that's fine, but you got to be there with them. And I said, sounds great. I'd love to sit in on this. So here they came. And this is the first time I've ever been a part of something like this. So they came in, again, professionals to the team. They came in with the equipment that you see on TV, everything. And they had multiple screens. They had a headquarter, in one of the rooms, with multiple TVs, recording equipment in every part of the room, lights, the EVP recorders, things of that sort everywhere. And I was walking around. It's like walking into a movie set. It was great. I'm walking around, looking at everything. I've seen that on TV. Look at that, and it was really fun to be a part of something. Mosquito. Fun to be a part of that. So then I'm there, and they set up the room. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning, and they start doing the investigation. Or about closer to 2. And they start doing the investigations, going from each room. And Monty and Margaret were specifically going to the room and asking questions. So I realized I forgot to tell you a little bit about the house before I continue. So the Sidbury house, which was built in 1893, was a rental property, one of the most well-regarded civic leaders in Corpus Christi, and her name was Miss Charlotte Cook Scott Sidbury. So what a name, right? Charlotte Cook Scott Sidbury. And she was a rancher, a bank director, and a lumber manager. If you think of a woman being in charge of all of those elements, at that time, it's really fascinating. So
yeah, ahead of its time. So in some ways,
a pioneering woman. So again, I love my history. So she had built a number of these homes, and this was one of the oldest, apparently, and she put it as a rental property. One of the families that apparently had lived there was a family called the Dunn family. And they had a little boy called Jim Dunn, who had apparently died, and this is based on information that was provided to me, who had died of the influenza, and at the age of 8. So that's what was told to me. So fast forward, okay? I'm asking Monty and Margaret, why do you want to do this in this house, And they proceed to tell me the story about Jim Dunn passing in the house, or I believe, or associated with the house. So I said, okay, I'm walking around, just kind of looking around, and we go to one of the bedrooms, and we're sitting around we're sitting around the room, and they have lights on, they have the recordings going on, they're filming, and they're recording. And out of nowhere, Monty pulls out a little ball, first of all, I wondered where the heck did he get the ball from, you know? So,
Oh, I was saying in Corpus Christi, is a lot of balls everywhere. You know, volleyballs here and there, you know.
you better believe it.
Soccer balls.
So he pulls out a little ball and he rolls it out into the middle of the room very slowly. You see roll out. And we're all looking at it, and he begins to ask questions, you know. So one of the questions that Margaret is asking is, you know, are you here? You know, what's your name? And she's just asking him, and I'm not hearing anything back, you know. So she's just asking away all these questions, you know. So during this process, he rolls out the ball, and he says, this ball is a gift for you. And so again, hear nothing in playback. Would you like the ball? What color is the ball? Things of that sort. So anyways, we get up and we move on to the next house, you know, next room, and we proceed to do that throughout the house. So close to 4 o'clock in the morning comes up, everybody's wrapping up, picking up all the equipment, you know, and they're reviewing all the material. So, and I hear from one of the other members, oh my God. So everybody stops, drops the equipment, and runs over there. And they're reviewing the audio from that time that I was there in the room with them. And I kid you not, I did not hear anything at that time. But one of the questions that's on playback now is, you know, do you live here? And you hear, yes. And then you hear, again, what's your name? And you hear, Jim. And I heard clear as day, you know. And the first thing that popped in my mind was like, okay, somebody just recorded that now, you know. Somebody just recorded it. And they were like, we don't do that kind of stuff. You know, we don't fub the material. Yeah. So they continue to play, and I hear on the audio, Monty asking, this ball is a gift for you. And you hear, clear as day, liar. And it's in a very high-pitched voice, you know, of that of a little boy. Liar. And immediately, boy, the hair just... So the first thought in my head was like, okay, people, you need to get out of here so I can go home. Come on. I got to lock up so I can go, you know. But so that was a really fun time. We talked about that quite a bit.
Yeah, that's interesting. Hopefully we can get in contact with them, maybe get some of the any of that evidence, we can present it on the show.
I'd love to present them to you. Yeah. I'd love to introduce you. So just wonderful people. So and they were very again professional about that and saying that we don't mess with the material, you know, it is as it is, you know. So they did this a few times, and it was great to be a part of it. Got to know them as family practically, and I was asked by the city of Corpus Christi Parks and Rec Department if I'd be interested in joining with them about doing ghost tours during Halloween. And I said, sure, because at that point they had now investigated a number of the other homes, you know. And so I didn't always sit in with them on those, you know. But so if we fast forward, you know, I was asked to do ghost tours, and it was great. So they would come in and they would set up kind of like in one of the Sidbury house, they would set up like the equipment so that when we're giving these tours, it'd be, you know, kind of an experience to see what a paranormal investigation would be like, you know. And we would start at one home and go to the others and talk about it, you know. And so it really became quite popular, you know. And so those were really quite fun.
That's really awesome.
And Margaret was always joining me, or Margaret and Monty, and we had a lot of fun doing that. And so one tour, okay, I was given. Yeah, here we go. I was given with a tour with Monty, and on that specific tour, they didn't set up in the house, the Sidbury house. They didn't set up all the equipment, you know. And the door, the house was always locked and alarmed. You know, it had a lot of Victorian artifacts in there, so it was always locked. So the only people that would go in there would be either a maintenance person or a tour guide, and that was about it, you know. And so a couple of people had access, and that was it. So fast forward, you know, I'm given a tour, you know, and I'm explaining the different activity that had gone on in the house, and I'm standing in front of the house, people are taking pictures, and I'm telling a story, the story that I'm going to tell after this one, about a certain activity, and I would say, yes, and that would be seen back there, in that house, or in that room, or that activity that I'm about to tell you next would happen. And I had a cousin on tour with me during that time. She was, one of the audiences, one of the members. They were taking the tour, and she goes, well, but there's somebody in the house now, isn't there? And I said, what do you mean? She said, well, no, there's somebody in the house right now, isn't there? I said, no, the house is locked and alarmed. And she's like, well, no. And I said, well, what happened? She said, at the window behind me. She said she specifically saw the windows open in a kind of a diamond shape,
What?
Opened up. And she said that when she looked at it, that it slowly closed. All this happening behind me.
Dang.
So she said, and she was adamant, she was like, no, there's somebody in the house right now. I said, no, that's impossible. So at that point, cameras are going crazy, Flashes are going crazy. So we go to the front, and I therefore unlock the door and unarm the door. So she goes, I think I'm going to wait outside for this one. So, and we walked, and I dragged her in. I said, no, let's go to where you saw the window. And everybody went to the window, and everybody was taking pictures, And so whether anybody saw anything, any orbs or what have you, what I understand them to be known, I don't know. But she did not like being in that house at all. So, that's what had to happen with that. So that was really great.
That's pretty creepy. How did you feel about that happening all behind you?
At that point, the hair on my head too went off, So, and she wasn't making anything up, she's relative, she's a professional, and so she was very adamant about it. And seeing the look on her face was really something. So,
man, that would scare the crap out of me.
Oh, me too. So the last part of the story that I'm going to tell you about that house happened to the house that was across from it, which was let me just double check on that. I want to make sure. That was the Gugenheim house. And that house was known for withstanding the 1919 hurricane. So it had a lot of historic significance to it. So it was brought to his Heritage Park, And so, but at that time, it was the headquarters of a certain organization that I won't let you know about. And so, in addition to giving tours during the ghost tours, if you will, it was also part of my job to give regular tours when the other tour guide couldn't make it. So I got to know a lot of the people in the different organizations, So, and I got to know one of the people who worked at that organization in that house, in the Gugenheim house. And she was a wonderful woman. So, anyways, I'm giving a tour, just to the public, through the different homes. And that was the last stop. And afterwards, she goes, Joe, would you mind, if I could talk to you afterwards? I said, sure, not a problem. We go, I tell everybody thank you. They go on their way, right? So I come back in. And I said, hey, so-and-so, what's going on? And she goes, who has been going into that house on a regular basis? I said, it's been me predominantly. Maybe there's a maintenance guy, but that's pretty much me or the other tour guide, that gives tours. I said, but that's about it. The house is always locked and alarmed. I said, and when I take the tour over there, I unlock it and alarm it. She goes like, well, no, there's got to be somebody else that's been going in there. I said, why is that? She goes like, well, they have a little boy. And I see that little boy almost daily. And I said, well, what do you mean? Immediately,
Yeah, I was thinking that. Like, what?
I said, well, what do you mean? And she said that her desk was right there, with a window behind it. And it's these Victorian, big, beautiful windows, And so she would say that she would turn around, look outside, and upstairs in the Sidbury house, on the second floor, there was a window, and she would always see a little boy looking out the window like this, right? Very similar to that shape.
Wow, I was gonna say, is that similar to the shape that your cousin saw?
Yeah, that's right. And she would look up, and she didn't think anything about it. She would just wave, and it would close back. So similar to that shape, And so she said it was just common occurrence. She would get in, she would look up, and she would wave. And she said a few times the little boy would wave and then close the curtains, And so these things happened to her quite a bit, a long time. And so she would look up, come in daily, and just look up and wave, And so she said it was a little boy. She didn't give the age, but it was a little blonde boy. He was always wearing, I think she said, a white shirt and suspenders, So, and she goes, well, whose little boy is that? And I said, I don't know of anybody that has a little boy that's been going into the house regularly, And she said, no, there's been a little boy upstairs. They go upstairs and play or what have you. I said, well, I don't know what to tell you. So I said, let me look into it for you. So I asked the other tour guide, and she said, nope. I asked the maintenance guys, nope, never a little boy with them. So I said, anybody else have access? She said, they would say, nope. So I went back and I said, okay, so this is what I found out.
Man, I bet her.
So I told her this, and I told her some of the other occurrences that had been going on. And she immediately said, okay, I'm out. And she moved her desk away from the window and refused to look out the window from that point on. I said, well, that's too bad. You could continue to say hello, So,
hey, what's up?
Yeah, what's going on?
What time is it? You'd be like, oh, shit.
I said, yeah, maybe he was hungry. Why didn't you go give him a sandwich?
Street tacos.
And so that was, hearing that from her, and again, a very established person, telling me this on a regular basis, she was very, very freaked out about this. So it wasn't too long after that I ended up leaving and started coming over here to work with the university. And so it was a great opportunity to work there. I loved it. And it's a joy to go back there and visit the homes on a regular basis. I walk a little bit faster by the Sidbury house sometimes.
When I was out there last, I drove out there at night and I took my mom with me. We went and drove, I didn't realize that all of the Ocean Drive changed so much downtown.
Yeah, it did.
There's areas that you can't even drive through anymore.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
But we went out there and I was like, oh my God, Mom, this place is beautiful and creepy at night. I go, this is going to be great. If I can get we're supposed to take the boys out there to go take a look at that. And we might do a little bit of recording with your permission and everything, be able to get some hookups. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely.
Oh, man.
So it was great. It was great. So, and I'm sure maybe there were some other stories that I don't know about, but that was just based on my experiences, which again wasn't endorsed by the city of Corpus Christi. But it's a beautiful location, and I invite everybody to go visit.
Yeah, we'll be definitely going checking it out again before the end of this summer. I'm already giving away end of the summer. Maybe that's when this episode will come out. But no, guys. Again, he's talking about Heritage Park in Corpus Christi. I'm from Corpus, and that is one of that's one of many places that I have experienced so much weird, wonderful stuff. I wouldn't say it's all negative, but makes you think twice about kind of what the world around you is. Lately where everybody's caught up in their televisions and their shows and their watches or their pads, and you're experiencing less and less of the world around you. You gotta be careful. You might bump into the wrong stuff. Little kids, you gotta be careful under your beds. That stuff's really there waiting for you. Anything you'd like to add, Joe?
Not too much.
Or advice or something you'd like to give my audience?
Well, no, I mean, the best advice I can give pertains to the arts, and so I am an artist. I am interested in other people's art, and so if anybody ever wants to email me some artwork that they do, it doesn't have to be paranormal related, but I would just love to see what you do, if you ever want to come visit the university, please do. We have a wonderful art department here. It's funny, I'm always interested in the arts, martial arts, the fine arts, which is a fine art in itself. So But I'm more than happy to take a look. And if anybody wants to talk about the arts, by all means, I'll give it as my email, and perhaps you can post it up there. And so, just come on by.
Awesome. He's a humble guy, but don't let him fool you. He's in a few books. Okay. Anything you want to kind of talk about a little bit about this, if you're okay with it? I'm okay with you endorsing some of that.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's one of the number of books that Cheech Marin has had published, and it has a collection of his work in there. Now, I've been fortunate enough to be a part of his collection, and so I'm very excited. His collection is now going to be housed at the it's now being constructed now, but it's called the Cheech Marin Center for Latino Artwork, Latino culture, and his collection is going to be there at the Riverside, California. It's supposed to be opening up next year. So I'm really excited to be a part of it. I've been asked to be a part of it in another way, and so I'm excited. But yeah, he's a wonderful man, a great supporter of the arts, and he's been supporting my work for quite some time. So just blessed to be so.
Yeah, Professor Pena has some of his art in there, so look it up. Still frame it. I'll put it up there. I think you're in other books as well, right?
Yeah, I am. The most recent one is called Los Tejanos, and it's predominantly focuses on Texas artists from his collection. And that was there's a lot of information you can find about that one. So it's been wonderful. So myself and another artist by the name of Ricardo Ruiz are in those books. And he's one that I plan on introducing you in the future, because he is a wonderful encyclopedia about Mexican lore.
Oh, that's awesome. That'll be coming for episodes that are coming up.
Yeah.
Again,
a fantastic artist, I should say. Fantastic artist.
And fantastic artist. Me too. No, guys, this is Joe or Professor Pena. Professor Pena, thank you for being on the show, bringing us some insight to all that. We'll be adding some footage and some pictures to the show. Again, guys, thanks for watching. This is My GhostCast.
Very quickly, I just want to say thank you, Therese, for allowing me to do this. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being a phenomenal teacher. Thank you for being a phenomenal martial arts teacher. I truly consider you my sensei, and just appreciate your kindness and your friendship.
Thanks, my friend. I look forward to visiting you again soon. All right, my friend.
I look forward to feeling those punches.
Yeah. All right, guys. Have a good one. Bye.
Heritage Park is full of history, and according to paranormal investigations by Spook Central, ghosts are also wandering through the night. If you want to find out for yourself, Spook Central will be offering ghost tours to the public, and our Sabrina Hall is with them this morning and has been trying to see a few ghosts out there. Good morning, Sabrina.
Hi, Regina. Yes, we're in the Sidbury house, and it's apparently the most haunted house at Heritage Park. And the story goes that the Dunn family lived here in the very early 1900s, and they had a young son who died of yellow fever. And that is the boy that people say that they've seen wandering these halls looking out the window. And we're talking at Corpus Christi Spook Central this morning, who hunts for ghosts in here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, tell us a story about the young boy. What have people seen, or who is he?
Well, actually, in this room right here, the guest bedroom, the Sidbury house, that window over there, a lot of people have said they've seen a small boy peering out, actually moving the curtain and looking out down towards some of the other houses and people that walks by.
Okay, and one woman who works over there, she actually moved her desk so she didn't have to see him anymore.
Yeah, she had been looking out her window, and she kept noticing that a small boy was inside the house. And she called over and was asking, why is there a small boy in there? Well, there's no small boy inside the Sidbury house. So it actually freaked her out so bad that she actually moved her desk, and she would not look out the window anymore.
Okay, this has been a popular ghost tour at Heritage Park, but you don't have too much equipment this morning, but what do you usually bring to check out ghosts?
Usually bring a DVR system, infrared cameras, IR thermometers, EMF meters, or just a wide range of equipment. We basically set up just like TAPS does, like the TV show Ghost Hunters, to give people a general idea about how we go about investigating historical homes and residential investigations.
What do you have to say to people who don't believe in ghosts?
Well, it's good to be skeptical. You have to be able to question this. You know, if you have to go out there and say, hey, you know, there's a possibility, you know, this can be debunked, and that's what we do. We try to debunk it and actually look for a reasonable answer. And of course, but if we're left over with something that's questionable, that's possibly signs of paranormal activity or a haunting.
Because many of your investigators actually call themselves skeptics.
Well, you have to be as an investigator. You have to have that little bit of being skeptical.
In terms of the Sidbury house, what do you believe, though?
From a lot of the experiences and evidence that I've captured here, I do believe the Sidbury house is the most haunted house in Heritage Park so far.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the latest episode and interview with Professor Joe Pena. Now, hearing all about the Heritage Park, man, that is a really beautiful yet scary place. Kind of like my women, you know? Beautiful and scary, perhaps more dangerous than anything. No, by the way, if you need to reach out or you'd like to reach Joe Pena, Professor, you can reach him at his website, which is joepenastudio.org, or email him at joe.pena@tamucc.edu. Now, Joe, again, he's the embodiment of humility. I really enjoy being around him, and I visit him when I can, when I go back home. I love his art exhibits. Those are pretty cool. Again, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and share it, and watch it with your family members, and take a crack at some comments. Again, guys, thank you for watching My GhostCast. Until next time, and don't be scared.